In this video, I am doing a custom firmware installation of Knulli Firefly, and I'm using the Anbernic Cube XX. Now, you can use other devices, other devices if you would like, and you can follow along because it actually supports, lots of things. So get your cat and you can follow along with this. This video has been long overdue. I finally had a moment to sit down and really grasp how weird and cool Knulli is. It's now called Knulli Firefly, and I wanted to do an installation. So in this video, I give you a breakdown of how to install the custom firmware Knulli Firefly. I'm using the Anbernic Cube XX. Now, I will say that per the Knulli wiki, this custom firmware actually works on quite a few devices. So I will leave those listed. Actually, I'll put them right on the screen right now. And so you can actually follow along if you have one of those other devices. Yes, this is custom firmware, and yes, I am very excited about it. However, if you are new to this whole scene of retro handhelds, watch this video first. Watch the whole thing first. See if this is going to be right for you, because the way that Firefly works, it's a little bit different as far as, how the installation is normal. But as far as how to get your games onto your device, we have to do some network transfer magic, which it's okay. You can do it. It's awesome. It's not your normal just kind of plugging your SD card in your computer and just kind of dragging and dropping some files over, which is super crazy easy. So take all of that with a grain of salt, and it's okay if you watch this whole thing and you're like, oh my gosh, this is a little too much for me. That's totally cool. Whatever your comfort level is, I will say that I am going to be doing a MuOS custom firmware installation walkthrough. I will have that out pretty soon. Like I said, it's a little bit more intense. It's a little bit different. You're doing some network transferring. Just know that getting into this. So watch the whole video and I didn't choose to do the network transfer. Per Knulli Firefly, the wiki actually recommends that you use only one SD card. You can do a 2 SD card method. With the 2 SD card method, you're not able to utilize ports afterwards. So to be able to use Knulli in all of the systems, as you should, on your retro handheld and have access to everything, that's why I'm using the whole network transfer. So, not saying it's the best, I'm saying it's the best way of getting those systems to function properly, and I was all for it. But why Knulli? You're asking, why even bother with Knulli? Why aren't we just using MuOS? Well, Knulli's been around for a while, and it's actually a fork of the longtime friend of emulation called Boxart. Boxart is an open source Linux-based software that you can basically put it on an SD card or a flash drive, and then you can kind of plug it into your PC, and you have an instant retro gaming machine, an interface right there that you can just, maybe you put that on your TV, you have a little tiny computer, you put it behind the TV, or you just want to take your PC and instantly, boom, there it is. So it's cool, and it's been around for a while, and I like it. It works pretty well. So that's the basic idea of what we're kind of doing here. However, like I said before, with all of this, you do need Wi-Fi. You don't have to have fantastic Wi-Fi, but you do need to be connected to Wi-Fi in order for all of this to work. We're going to download the image file and download a couple different programs, and then you do need Wi-Fi so that you can actually transfer stuff over. So keep that in mind. That was a whole long, big thing. So with all that being said, now that you got the gist of it, we can jump in. Okay, so here is the Knulli wiki. and the home page. So you can see Knulli Firefly, and if you want to read a little bit about it, you can do that. On the left hand side, there's FAQs, there's all sorts of different install guides and whatnot, things that you can go through if you want to really get into different ways that you can set up. From here, we're just going to do a quick install. So you want to click on install right here and then follow the steps right here. Step 1, we're going to download. So download the latest version of Knulli for your device. So we're going to click on releases to the releases page, and that's going to bring us to the GitHub page. Now we're going to scroll down here. I know this doesn't look normal, but this is how GitHub looks. Scroll all the way down until you see this little section right here where it says installation package downloads. Now right here, just follow which device that you have. This does work for all of these devices that are listed here, but we are going to focus on the Cube XX and click on this and just follow the link and click on the appropriate download for your device. But here we're going to click on the Cube XX download. Now while we're waiting for that to download, we're going to just hit back, and on here we're going to go to step 2 while we're waiting for that to download, and here is where we're going to flash it. So you do need to extract it, which I'll show you that here in a second. But just take note of these common image tools that you want to use. You can use Rufus, you can use Raspberry Pi Imager, which is what I'm going to use in this video. You can also use Win32 Disk Imager. So once that is downloaded, then we want to extract it. So we're going to extract it here. While that's extracting, I'm actually going to click on the Raspberry Pi Imager. So once you're at the Raspberry Pi site, you just want to click on download for Windows, and that's going to download, but I actually already have this installed. Now this is the Raspberry Pi app, and for the first one, for Raspberry Pi device, we are going to choose no filtering. We don't actually have a Pi device, so we're not choosing any of those. For operating system, you're going to go all the way down to the bottom where it says use custom, because that's what you're doing. You are using a custom IMG image file. All right, so yours should just populate. I had to find mine because my computer is being funky right now. So anyway, once you find, just click on that and you can see that it says Knulli. It's an H700 device, but what you're looking for is an RG Cube XX, and it says Firefly, and this is the latest version. This is the actual date of when the image came out. So click on open, and then you've selected both of these. Now, the last one, you want to select your storage card. So make sure you don't have any other SD cards that are plugged into your computer. Make it easy on yourself. And that is the one I'm using, a 32 gig SD card. And I'm going to select that, and then we're good. All right, so when this pops up, we don't want to select any of this. So we're just going to click no where it says, do you want to apply any customization settings? And no, we don't. And yes, are we sure that we want to do all of this and it's going to be erased? And yes, we do. Click yes. So this is going to take a little bit, and that is okay. So go, I don't know, if you're living where it's snowing like me right now, you could probably go and make some snow angels. So go do that. Hopefully have a snowsuit on. Or go get a snack. Okay, now you should see this, and you can now remove the SD card. So click on continue, and then make sure that you eject your card. Actually, it doesn't even show the card because it's formatted in FAT32, so it won't actually from here on out recognize. All right, from here, now we have inserted the SD card at the bottom, which I didn't show, and I'm going to show you. So SD card is going into the bottom. And now put your device on whatever droid or bounty hunter that you see fit. They will hold it while you turn it on. You may have to hold down the power button or sometimes hit the reset button if your device is being goofy. But this is going to take a little bit of time. What the device is doing, the software is unpacking and it's building the file structure onto your SD card, and everything's going to be all nice and happy. So hence the resizing file space. So this will go through and it may take a little bit of time, maybe a couple minutes. And then once it's done, it will come up with the main screen. All right, here is the main screen. That actually didn't take that long at all. You can see as I navigate back and forth. Now, there isn't a whole lot on here. Actually, it doesn't even have any Super Nintendo games. It says that it does, but it's lying. I mean, it does, but they are freeware games, so it just has Classic Con. That is what Firefly comes with. Okay, so first you want to hit start, and you are going to connect to your network. Keep in mind, we see that the host name is Knulli. We're going to need to know that later on. So first we're going to hit enable Wi-Fi. That takes a second, and I am not going to show you what my network is. Okay. Once you are connected, you will get this beautiful button that says Wi-Fi is enabled. You just want to click back out of it, and then everything is good. Okay, big thing is you want to make sure on your device that it actually says connected. Okay, so pay attention, because here's where it gets a little funky. But don't worry, it's okay. Now, you want to make sure, like I just showed you, your Anbernic is connected to the internet. Once you do that, you want to... The Knulli Wiki is really going to be your Bible here. Please make sure that you read this. Please make sure that you kind of, follow along with me. This is a little bit intricate, so if you have any questions, if I've possibly skipped anything, if my ADD has gotten the best of me, please make sure that you go in here and just go through there. It really breaks everything down for you. So I just don't want anybody to, start yelling in the comments, oh my god, I killed my SD card. Your SD card won't be able to be noticed by your computer anyways. So there is that. But if you have any questions, please do this. However, so we are right here. We are going to skip over this little section, formatting in a second SD card. So just kind of, you don't need to go into there. So click onto the network transfer section, and essentially, just to show you, this is kind of what we are going to be doing. We are going to be going into your computer, and you are basically going to see this file structure, and then you're going to move over your ROMs. What I just found is the easiest way. Go all the way down. For all you Mac OS people, you can follow along with that. I tried to do it that way. It does work. It sometimes does not, connect correctly. So I found that using this program, which it says for Windows users, so I don't think that there's a Mac site. But if you go to this WinSCP, you can download, and you're going to want to download that, extract it, and then run it. Basically, and I will show you in just a moment what that looks like. So if we go back to the Knulli Wiki, you can see here, this is what we're going to basically be doing. I know this looks a little weird. There's not a whole lot that you have to put in for the passwords and everything. You are basically remoting into your you're having your computer and your retro handheld talk to each other, which is awesome. And you're just transferring back and forth. When this comes up, hit accept. It's fine. It's just saying, hey, we've never done this before, and, just hit accept. Okay, so here I'm just going to speed through. This is me installing WinSCP, and just basically download it, and then once you do that, it's an exe file, and then you just want to install it. Follow the prompts so you can follow along with what I do here, and it will just basically go through, hit next, do the recommended install, and just get the bare bones of what you need. And once it's done, there you go, hit finish. Now here is WinSCP once it is up and running, and you want to make sure that you have the Knulli wiki up in the background, because it's going to tell you the username and the passwords, the host name, and everything. Tells you the port, and just really follow along with that. Once you do that, you can click on login and everything will be fine. So you can see how it gives you basically, diagrams, and takes it a second. Sometimes you have to back out of it and then go back into it, but I got it to connect. Okay, also I had an issue for 2 seconds. Now make sure that your password is actually typed in there, and it's not going to show you the password. You might have to actually type it in. It's Linux, all lowercase, and then type it in, and then it will connect. Hit accept, and voila, we are in. Hooray, you did it. If you see the screen, give yourself a high five, because you are awesome. Now, the left side is your computer, the right side is the retro handheld that you're working on. For us, it's the Cube XX. Now, this doesn't look like the normal thing, and I got a little confused here, but ultimately, do you see that little tiny folder with the arrow at the top on the right hand side? That gets you back to the parent directory. So just double click on that, and there we go. BIOS. Once you see the BIOS and the cheats, you want to just select ROMs, and sometimes it brings you into system, but anyway, what you're looking for is this, and then you want to click on ROMs. Once we get into ROMs, on the right hand side, there you can see the file structure, and there we have all of the files. So on the left side, that's your computer. Make sure you find out where your games are, and then go from there. So on the left here is this is my computer. This is where I've saved my ROMs, and I'm in my favorite section just to throw these over onto an SD card. So what you basically want to do on the left side, that's going to be your computer. You're going to find where your games are. So find that. This is where everything's going to be transferred. In this section, this is actually going to be your device, your retro handheld. Here's your file structure. So basically, it's got everything, because like I said, Knulli is derived from Boxart, which Boxart has been around for a very long time, and it encompasses literally every system that you can probably really think of. There's some stuff in here that I don't even know what it is. So yeah, so you can see I just have the bare minimums right here, and you just basically just drag and drop. So I haven't done Atari. I named it 2600. In here it's Atari 2600. So click on, I don't know why it's backwards, it doesn't matter, but click on the top file, and then go down to the bottom. You're going to hit shift so you can select all, and then just basically drag and drop into the other section. This is your retro handheld, and now everything is good. Everything's going to be in there. So I know, super easy. These are tiny files though. So if you have something that, I know this goes up to PSP, Dreamcast, and N64. Obviously the bigger systems are going to have bigger files. It's going to take a few more minutes. Again, don't load the world on here. If you do, just know it will take longer and longer and longer. So if you want to throw all of the catalog of all of these systems on there, go ahead. Make sure you have a big enough SD card. Maybe a 128 or a 256 might be ideal. But also just be mindful that it's going to take a little bit of time, but then it'll tell you. So, all right, let's do this again. And we're going to do Super Nintendo, drag from the left side, that's your computer, and there isn't a select all, unfortunately, so just click at the top and then hit shift on your keyboard, and then you can just drag over everything and click on OK, and there you go. So it'll take just a few seconds. It says right there, it's not going to take very long at all, but I have a few games. So if we go into the Super Nintendo, we're going to have to refresh. So just to show you on here, we go into game settings and do update game lists. And it immediately goes to Super Nintendo. Ta-da! Now, I will show you to scrape the Boxart. That's a whole different thing. You can go in here on the computer and you can add your images, which I don't believe that I have, so I will show you how to do scraper later. But there you have it. You have your games, and just to show you, ta-da! There's Castlevania. Okay, so Pico 8. I know you're all wondering about that, and that's part of the reason why we are doing Knulli. Back to the Knulli wiki. Now scroll all the way down on the left side, and you're going to see where it says Systems. Under Engines, then there is Pico 8. And here is the instructions for Pico 8. Now, it does have a regular emulator, the Faco 8 emulator, which is awesome, and that you can basically run that through RetroArch. That's cool. You would have to load your Pico 8 games on there, and that's totally fine if you want to do that. I personally need Splore in my life. I mean, all of these handhelds have Wi-Fi. There's no reason why we can't have Splore. So, and just to show you, if you aren't familiar, you will need, if you are completely and totally new to my website, or if you are completely and totally new to my channel, I talk a lot about Pico 8. Here is Pico 8. You will need a license for this. Once you go in and you pay for the license, it is going to be $14.99 US dollars, and you basically you are going to want to download the Raspberry Pi zip. Now, once you have done that, we can scroll down to here. So download from that page. Basically, it's telling you to go to Lexalawful's download page, which is the Pico 8 page. Pay for it. It's a one-time fee. You can support the Pico 8 amazing community because that's how they get paid, and it's only $14 or $15, and it's awesome. Then you have a license forever, literally forever. So download that Raspberry Pi zip file that you can only do after you get the Pico 8 license, and then you want to, this is what we're going to do. Basically what we need to do is we are going to establish an SSH connection, which is another way of how you can transfer your other games, but I opted not to do that. But here I will show you how to do that. So SSH, you basically just want to, on your Windows, you can just go in and you can use a Windows terminal, and you're going to see some DOS prompts. Don't get scared. It is okay. Just literally do exactly what it tells you to do. So from your Windows machine, you want to hit your start. You are going to hit the command, just type in CMD. You're going to have a command prompt in here. And then, so here is the information to establish an SSH connection. If you haven't done that beforehand, it's basically the exact same thing. I mean, as far as like the host name and the root password and all that. So once we have connected, we're going to hit copy on this. You are going to click on that and just hit enter. It basically shows you that you just need to copy this to your clipboard, and it does that automatically. Then you just paste that command file right in there. Now, Knulli's password is Linux, all lowercase. I am typing Linux right now, and then it doesn't show it, but then just hit enter. Once you do that, you will see, obviously, we are in Knulli. So once we're in your retro handheld, we're in Knulli, we're talking to your retro handheld. So we want to do something awesome, which is, we're going to go back to, so here's where, before you do that, you want to copy this zip file. So once you've copied this zip file, and I'll show you, we're going to go back to SCP. You have to go down to, it says you want to go simply copy the zip file into your ROMs/Pico 8 folder. So we scroll down on the right side, which is our retro handheld, to the P8 folder. Literally just take the zip file. You don't have to extract it at all, and you just want to drop it in here. So once you've done that, go back to your command prompt, and we're going to go back to, once you've established this SSH connection, we've done that. Now you are just going to basically copy this, and then you're going to paste that, and you are going to hit enter. And I've done that. So you will see something that says that you've already done that. It will install all sorts of things. You'll get a big command file, and then I will show you what everything looks like. Once it says that it's done, so let me see. Because what it's doing is basically it's installing all of these files, and it's putting it into this file structure. And you don't have to do all that, because that looks a little bit, scary sometimes. You may not get it. It may not go correctly. Sometimes it has issues. But basically, this is how you get Sploor. Now, you'll see a bunch of code that looks pretty much like this, and it'll run through. And then once it says that it's done, you can basically go over to your handheld. So once you're on your handheld, make sure that you go to settings, and you want to update the games list, and everything that you have transferred over, you can see that it is there. So we're going to select the Pico 8 and click on Sploor, which is amazing. Make sure it's connected to Wi-Fi, otherwise Sploor will not work. And that's the most amazing sound in the world. And here you go. You are basically connected to Pico 8 as if you were on the computer and you're on their website and you can go and see all sorts of fun little games. Again, I must stress to you how awesome Pico 8 is. With that $15 license, you have access to thousands upon thousands of games that everybody just keeps making games. There are just regular people that develop these games right here, and you have them at your fingertips. The list just keeps growing and the community just keeps growing, and I could go on and say how awesome Pico 8 is, and I have done so in many videos. So definitely check those videos out. But yeah, look at this little cool game. This is like Space Invaders, but it's just it's great. This makes me so happy. What's awesome is on the Cube XX, you can see that this fills out the aspect ratio of the 1:1 screen, and this is literally one of the most perfect Pico 8 handhelds because of that screen, and I just love it so much. I just love it so much. It's awesome. Comment below if you have a favorite or several favorite Pico 8 games, and I would always love to hear about more and get into have some new obsession this week. We need to scrape some box art, because if you go in here, we don't have any box art, and that is sad, because that's one of the best things about Knulli is you can scrape the box art right on the device. So you do need Wi-Fi, as you can see up at the top right hand corner. I am connected to Wi-Fi. But then let's back out and we are going to go to the settings. Now I will leave a link down in the description below. The website that you can go to is scraperwithak.net, and then just make an account, remember what your account is, and then you'll just have to input your credentials into your device. So let's go down to where it says scraper on the device, and then right here it's asking you where you want to scrape it from. If you have any of these other accounts, you can definitely do that, or it is just asking, you know, what main database that you want to use. I primarily use Screen Scraper because it seems to have the most. So here under the settings is where you can change the settings of what you're scraping. If you want a screenshot, the image source is a screenshot, or fan art, you know, box 2D, box 3D, all of that. I typically like box 2D, and then box source. There's tons of settings here, so you can definitely go through and see what you want to do. Down at the very bottom where it says account, I'm not going to show you that because my credentials are already in there. Okay, so once you put in your credentials down at the bottom where it says account, then you want to hit B, you back out of it, and then you're going to go to the previous menu. Now from here, you can also change these settings as well, and then you can go down, and if this is your first time scraping, you just want to hit scrape now. So I will make a note, if you have a ton of stuff, a ton of games on here, it's going to take a lot longer, especially if you end up wanting to scrape some video files so that it plays a little video clip. That's definitely going to take a little bit longer. Sometimes you may have to do it a couple times, so that's why where it does say in these filters where it says ignore recently scraped games from the last so many days, or if you want to just scrape a select system or a few systems, you can definitely change all of that. So this is something that, you know, if you only have a few systems, maybe it shouldn't take very long. But if it's something that, you know, you've crammed everything in the world on here, set everything up, and then, you know, it might be something that you have to let go overnight, and hopefully it'll get the majority of it done by the morning. So, but yeah, once you hit scrape now, it takes a second, and then we should see it up on the screen, generally up at the top. Okay, so sometimes you need to go in and even though it says Wi-Fi up at the top, double check your Wi-Fi that it actually is connected. Sometimes what I have noticed with Knulli or really any custom firmware, if they glitch and they're not connecting to your Wi-Fi after they've been connected to a different Wi-Fi, say you take it to, work or school or whatever, just reset the device. Just hit the reboot button or power it off and power it back on, and then you'll be golden. So now we'll hit scrape now. And there we go. Ta-da! So up in the right-hand corner, you can see what it's scraping. It will tell you one of however many scraping pieces that it's doing, and then what system, what the game is, and any other info. Okay, so I have scraped my Boxart, and we're going to go in, and before, when I showed you, we didn't have any of this stuff. So now you can go through and you can see that there is Boxart, and there's some info about the game itself, and you can go through, and that Super Nintendo has been scraped. And we go through Game Boy Color has been scraped, same thing. Sometimes, depending on how the game is named, the naming convention, you may or may not get the Boxart, and you may have to just go in there and change it, but you can see for the most part it is all set up. Go into Game Boy Advance. Now if you don't have the Boxart, if you need to scrape anymore, you would simply just go back into Scraper, make sure that you're connected to Wi-Fi, and then you would just go down and hit scrape now, and make sure that these filters down at the bottom are actually selected with whatever you wanted to select, in the last 15 days or last month, things like that, last week. And then you would just hit scrape now, and then it'll finish up scraping if you need to. Now, real quick, we'll do a rundown of the settings for Knulli. Now that you're in here, the start button is going to be where you get to your main menu, and that's where all the settings are, so you can go through. And if you've used any, if you've used Boxart, this is going to look very familiar. If you've used anything with an emulation station back end, this is also going to look very, very familiar because it all kind of looks familiar. So that's one of the reasons why I like Knulli. Once you've used one, it kind of looks the same. Even I think ArcOS might have the same settings in the back end, but I could be wrong about that. And I don't have an ArcOS device on me right now. But going into game settings, this is where you would update your games list, any retro achievements, you can do that. You want to do a BIOS check, you can turn on auto save, auto load, which is very cool. And then go down from here. So each has your different configurations, different settings. Down here at the bottom, pay attention to this. This is per system configuration. You may not have to do that too much depending on what device you're working with, but if, say, on this specific device, I wouldn't turn that on as far as like the different governors or whatnot. If you wanted specific settings for a specific system, you would go through there. But, if I was going to go through and play Dreamcast, I may go through here and make sure that my performance settings are turned on and all that kind of stuff. Here you got your connection settings, and go through user interface. Here you can change the theme and any screen settings, display options, and you can get through and really get in the nitty-gritty of what you want to see on your actual games list options. So that's pretty cool. And then here's another game collection settings. This is even more where you would do that type of stuff. Down here you can go through, and I might suggest You can do grouped systems. Actually, let's do automatic game collections. I think it's in there. So right here, something that you may want to turn on is last played. I think that's automatically turned on, but favorites is never turned on. So make sure you have favorites turned on if you want it. Other things, you know, you can do never played, retro achievements, things like that. And you can sort them. You can sort them really however you want. Sound settings. Right here, if you do want to turn off front-end music, because by default, I didn't show this, but by default, Knulli does have some front-end music. You may like it. It's a little catchy. It's different from the normal Boxart. I think they updated their stuff. So network settings, scraper, we went over that. Here's where, if you wanted to get into more themes in the bezel project, and do all that, depending on, I won't be doing this for this device because of the aspect ratio. And then if there is an update on your device, and then more system settings, you can go through and you can configure all of these things. Apparently I haven't configured the time. I am not in Paris. So, and then, yeah. But one thing I will say, you will have to go through, unless you just turn off the power from the power button. Generally, you will want to hit start and then hit up, so you can hit quit really quick and then hit shutdown. You can do a fast shutdown, but obviously it shows you that it's not going to save any data. So, but yeah, that's through the start button. If you hit the settings button or the select button, you can launch the screensaver. You can change all of that. Oh, actually they updated it. I forgot that there's that. Forget what I just said. You can do it even quicker with the select button. So either way, it's kind of cool that they have two different options. The menu doesn't really do anything, but to get out of a game, if I haven't showed you that, you hit menu and then select, and that will get you out of a game. It'll pause and then get out of the game. So there you have the installation of Knulli Firefly on your Cube XX or whatever device you have been following along with me today, and you did it. So if you followed this whole thing and you did the custom firmware, give yourself a self 5-5 because that was awesome. You did some network transferring, so you are a computer genius today. But yeah, it wasn't that bad, was it? It was a little different, but it wasn't that bad. So technology can be fun too. It's okay. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you're thinking about Knulli Firefly. If you're, a big fan. If you're not so sure, if maybe you're waiting around for MooOS, and that's totally fine. Like I said a couple times in the video, that I will have a video out soon about that and do an installation guide for it that you can follow along. So honestly, I like both of these custom firmwares. I haven't solidified that I love one or the other. I like them both for different reasons. I really do. And I'll go over what I like about MooOS in that video, but I love Knulli because, it feels familiar. It's awesome. There's themes out there. It looks just like Emulation Station when you get usually a retro handheld that has that operating system. It's been tried and true, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So it's very familiar. I do like, even though we had to do a couple goofy little things with the network transfer, I do love that it just automatically, after we ran the script, we were able to just, bam, use Pico 8, Explore, and because of that, I really love this device, and it makes me really happy about using Knulli Firefly. So, and I'm happy that they figured out that you can use Pico 8, you can use ports, you can use all of your emulation, and even though we have to do network transferring to get that to work, we don't have to sacrifice on anything. Because if you're going to have an emulation device, You should be able to play all of the systems, not just pick and choose and say, oh, well, I guess because I'm using this custom firmware, I can't use this system. So that's part of the reason, and nothing against MinUI. That's part of the reason why I never use MinUI, just because I'm a gigantic fan of arcade systems, and arcade systems tend to not work on MinUI. So there's that. But anyway, let me know all your thoughts, comments below, and what you're thinking. And yeah, if it didn't work by any chance, if you had any sort of issues, probably don't leave comments below, because I did not create Knulli. I did not create Knulli Firefly. Hit up the Knulli wiki, and I will have all of those links below, because you're going to want to talk to one of the devs, or maybe you get some information there. Anyway, thanks for watching. Stay awesome, everyone, and go play some games. Okay, for real, I love you. And you're stepping on my keyboard, dude. This is why we can't have nice things. This is what happens. I rescue a kitty from the cold, and then he does things. He's adorable, though. Yeah, little tiny Cosmo. He's about 6 months old, and yeah. Poor little guy was stuck in my garage. Well, I wouldn't say stuck. He was hiding in my garage from the cold, and I rescued him because he, within a couple days of rescuing him, here where I live, we got temperatures as low as -24 with the wind chill, and he wouldn't be around. So thankfully he is warm and nice and happy, and he's part of my family now. So yay.